Catholic Church, and it was prophesied by the John, and you can find it in the book of John as well. It's speaking quite a lot about the Roman Catholic Church. For you to understand better, the Roman Catholic Church is not the church that Jesus found, as the Catholic Church members say. The Roman Catholic Church was found in the 4th century by the Emperor Constantine. He found the church, that religion, Roman Catholic religion, to unite the Roman Empire. Okay, and this religion was forced on people under the threat of death. Like if you don't accept the Roman Catholicism, if you don't accept the religion, you will be killed. That was the approach in the ancient times, how to make people worship the gods of the Roman Catholic Church. So of course God doesn't approve, he doesn't appreciate this church, as he doesn't appreciate any other gods, because God is a jealous God. So that's why the John already prophesied about the coming of the church, about the appearance of the church in the future. John lived in the 1st century, and the Roman Catholic Church was created by the Emperor Constantine in the 4th century. Okay, it's Roman Catholic Church started to create in the 4th century by Emperor Constantine, but the process continued through few more centuries. There were quite a number of the councils where the popes throughout the Roman Empire will gather and would make a doctrine, a church doctrine, which preserved until now. And you can see in the Catholics right now, they follow the doctrine of the Emperor Roman Constantine and the popes, which which gathered together and modified and fixed, and I will say fixed the doctrine that we have right now. And God doesn't like it. And now I'll read you from the Bible, from the book of John, the prophecy about the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, first of all, the Roman Catholicism has been described in the book of Revelation as a Babylon the Great, sorry, and the mother of prostitutes and of earth abominations. Let's read Revelation chapter 17 verse 5. And on her forehead was written a name of mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of earth abominations. Okay, here it says that Babylon the Great. Why? Because this church is great. It's huge. It's this religion, like is the most common in the world. It's that great. And again, why Babylon? Because Babylon has nothing to do with God. Yeah. So the same way the Roman Catholic Church has nothing to do with God. Then why is it called the mother of prostitutes? Because the Roman Catholic Church has delivered many more churches. How did it happen? Okay, the Protestant church, for example, the Martin Luther. So he was the Catholic. He was the Catholic priest, and he created a new church, a Protestant church, based on his experience in a Catholic church. So the Catholic Church has passed the genes, has passed the doctrine to other churches, which were created later. That's why the modern churches, they look so similar to the Roman Catholic Church, because they actually came from the Roman Catholic Church. Is the Roman Catholic Church members and priests who have created the new churches. They modified a doctrine here and there, but it's still the daughter. It's like the churches which you observe right now are the daughters of the Roman Church. And why it's prostitutes? Because the Roman Catholic Church has deviated from the teaching of Jesus Christ. No doubt, it's deviated. The worship service, the communion, the priesthood of any individuals, the persecution of believers who don't agree with the church doctrine, this all is happening in the Roman Catholic Church. So that's why when someone is deviating from the teaching of when organization deviates, from the teaching of Christ, or anyone deviates from the teaching of Christ or of God, he is prostituting himself. So in this way, the Roman Catholic Church has prostituted herself, as well as the churches which Catholic Church delivered. They also prostituted themselves because they followed a doctrine which is different from the teaching of Christ. And it says the mother of prostitutes and of earth abominations. What kind of abominations? Okay, there are some churches, but there are some other organizations, not churches but organizations, which have been also derived from Roman Catholicism, with all this structure, all this worship service, and all this traditions and doctrines. Okay, let's continue. Let's read on the verse, Revelation 17, verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed sexual immorality, and with the wine of whose sexual immorality the dwellers on earth have become drunk. Sorry. So it says here that the kings of the earth have committed sexual immorality. All right. As you know, the Roman Catholic Church used to work closely with the government, with the kings, and the Roman Church would force the governments to do the dirty job which the church were shy to do. Let's say there is a person in a Roman Catholic Church who doesn't agree with the doctrine. So instead of going and killing the person himself, they will go to the government and will say, you need to kill it. We excommunicate the person, okay? We excommunicate that person. He's not a church member anymore. Now we don't protect him anymore. So go and kill him because he's out of our protection. And the government used to obey because the church used to bless the government, used to bless the king. So if the government, if the king will not follow the Roman Church, the Pope, then the Pope will excommunicate that king. It means that God, it means that the Pope will convince people that God is no more with this king, and the people will remove that king and they will put a new king. So that's how the Pope and the king used to work together. That's how the church and the government used to work together. And in some countries, it's even until now they're working together actually. That's why it says committed sexual immorality, because it's not how, like, they were doing things which God doesn't approve, like killing people. Yeah, like the Roman Church used to ask government to kill the people. God will never approve it, but the church has been doing it. The church has been killing people by the help with the government. So that's why they were committing sexual immorality. And it says, and with the wine of whose sexual immorality the dwellers on earth have become drunk. The doctrine of the church is so away from teaching of Christ that it's not reasonable anymore. With all this, as I said, communion, worship service, excommunication, and so on and so on, all this church hierarchy, and this priests are dressed in a special kind of clothes, showing that they're higher than the people. So the members of the church, they are not able anymore to follow Christ. So they become like drunk. Yeah, so they kind of understand Jesus Christ, they kind of understand the teaching of Jesus, but they're actually drunk. They're drunk with the doctrine of the church. So the church doesn't allow them to really follow Jesus Christ 100%, because the church is on that person. Yeah, the church is on the person, and whoever doesn't follow the church, he'll be excommunicated. And if he'll be excommunicated in ancient times or the Middle Ages, the person will be killed. But nowadays, if a person is excommunicated, like, he will not have a family, friends, just that he will be pressurized, I will say. Okay, like going away from the traditions of the forefathers and so on. So so the people afraid of church, of Catholic Church, rather than of Christ or of God, and that's how people become drunk. Like when you talk to Roman Catholic Church members and you try to explain to them, convince them, they will not listen, because they're not in a proper mind. Their mind is has been taken by the church. All right, let's continue reading the book of John, Revelation, to see what John prophesied about the church. 17, Revelation 17, verse 15. And the angel said to me, the waters that you saw where the prostitute is seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. Okay, it says the waters. Okay, this prostitute in the book of Revelation that John prophesied, like this prostitute, the church was sitting on many waters. So what does it mean? It means the church has covered a number of nations, a huge number of nations, because the water symbolize peoples and multitudes. It means that this prostitute was sitting on the water. It means that the church spread its doctrine to the thousands and millions, also millions of people, and different nations, different languages. It means that different people from all around the world follow the doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church. Let's continue. Revelation 17, verse 6. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. When I saw her, I marveled greatly. Okay, what does it say? That the Roman Church basically, like it says, drunk with the blood of the saints. It used to kill people. Okay, as I mentioned before, they will go to government. They'll tell government, okay, eliminate, kill that person because he's out of our protection. So the Roman Church used to do it. Like how they used to falsely accuse people in witchcraft, and the people will be killed after that. So this is the work of the Roman Church. That's what the Roman Church used to do. And it also says that the blood of martyrs of Jesus, because there are people, okay, there were people who follow Jesus Christ, and they will disagree with the church in many ways. So the church will not tolerate it, and it will kill. So that's how the people will become martyrs, because they just followed the teaching of Christ, but the church did not accept it, and the church will have just kill the believer. Okay, that's what the church was doing. Let's continue. You know that the capital of Roman Catholicism is Rome. Okay, Rome is a city where the Vatican is, where the church is headquartered, and the Rome, as you know, is the city on 7 hills. It's called the city on 7 hills. Here what Revelation 17 verse 9 says, this calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman is seated. So the woman, the Roman Church, is sitting in Rome. Okay, so that's why it says 7 heads are 7 mountains. So the Roman Church sits in Rome. It's headquartered in Rome, and the Rome itself is the city of 7 hills. So it's giving you the location. Where is it? Which place on earth sits on the 7 hills? It's a Rome. It's a Rome, capital of Italy right now. Okay. Okay, and then it's an explanation. Revelation 17 verse 18. And the woman that you saw is the great city that has dominion over the kings of the earth. Okay, so it explains, the woman that you saw is the great city. It's a Roman Catholicism. It's a Roman Church. And this city is great. It's been it's been a capital of the Roman Empire, and until now it's one of the biggest cities in the world. And then continue talking about the church. It has a lot of gold and jewels and pearls. So let's read Revelation 17 verse 4. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and jewels and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the impurities of her sexual immorality. All right, so it says that the purple and scarlet. What does it mean? It means that the popes used to wear purple and scarlet. Okay, so it was already prophesied by John that it will be adorned in purple and scarlet. Here it is, the popes are adorned, they're wearing a purple and scarlet clothes, and adorned with gold and jewels and pearls. So when you go to the church temple, okay, to the Catholic temple, you see lots of gold and jewels and pearls. It's all shiny. It looks beautiful, and that's how it was already prophesied about it. And it says, holding in her hand a golden cup of abominations and the impurities of her sexual immorality. Yeah, so this communion cup which they have, but it's for them, like it's actually immorality because of the false teaching. So people who drink from that cup, they actually like involved into false teaching, following the false teaching. So as you can see, it's all matching. The prophecy, which was what was prophesied by John in the first century, and what's happened later in the fourth century until now, we can see it was prophesied about the Roman Catholic Church. And okay, and even if you're not a Roman Catholic, but you are a member of any other church, the Roman Catholic Church has delivered many other churches. So even your church is also a prostitute, meaning it's also deviated from the teaching of Christ. It went astray. Okay, the church, your church, just like Roman Catholic Church, has followed a false teaching, has followed the doctrine of of man rather than teaching of Christ. So the people who in the churches, they follow the teaching of the churches rather than the teaching of Christ. And you need to think, why will you follow the church? What the promise, what the benefit you get? Will you get God's approval? Of course not. What will you get? You will get a temporary satisfaction, only temporary. When you are a member of a church, you have a kind of a friendship, this friendly feeling that you are together, but it's only for the short time, because when you will realize that the church doctrine is bad, and here and there this friendship, this friendly feeling will be gone, because the church will go against you and they will attack you. So all these years of you enjoying the friendship, it will be just all in a moment vanished, because the church will go against you if you disobey the church doctrine. And I see many people for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they follow the church doctrine, and then they realize the church doctrine is not right, and then the church goes and excommunicates them, or the person leaves the church, and all this church family, what he considers his family, his friends, they're gone, because this family is not from God but from the devil. So there is no benefit to be in the church, just a temporary satisfaction, just like the devil gives something temporary. There is no being in the church. It means that you are away from Christ, but you are followed the teaching of the man. So there is no reward for you. There is no heaven. There is no place. There is no God's approval. There is no God's approval. And people who attend the churches and follow its false teachings, this worship service and the communion, and the worship the church leader, by obedience to him, by always praising him and sacrificing money to the church leader, people, they actually lose in the end. And even if they are happy now, they will not benefit from it. And what you need to do is just to reject your church, reject any teaching which coming from man, but follow teaching of Christ. Reject the church, reject the leader, reject the family, and then you will be right with God. Thank you for watching.